That intro was courtesy of MOTONE Customs' new Saturn V prototype exhaust for the T120, with the music courtesy of Gordon Forbes and his clan. Right, I thought I'd do a channel update today. They seem to have fallen by the wayside this year. In a few minutes we're going to take a look at some of MOTONE Customs' prototypes that I've managed to get my mitts on, including that rather naughty Saturn V exhaust for the T120. But first of all, there's a question that I think is burning in the back of everyone's mind. The current lockdown regulations here in the UK are subtly different from those that we experienced earlier in the year. And people are wanting to know, when is it okay to ride your motorcycle and when isn't it okay to ride your motorcycle? Now, the BMF, or British Motorcyclists Federation, one of the largest motorcycle groups in the world, have got together with COMO, that's the Coalition of Motorcycling Organisations, in order to sort the wheat from the chaff and work out exactly when motorcyclists can and can't ride here in England. And last week they released this bulletin giving advice to riders as to what they can and can't do. Now, I must stress that this is advice given to riders in England only. It doesn't cover the whole of the UK. I'm reading between the lines, but it would appear that the lockdown regulations in Wales, Scotland and Ireland are different. And they've concluded that motorcyclists can, if they wish, ride for leisure. It doesn't have to be a necessary journey in order for you to legally ride around on your motorcycle. Now, they say that the government has clearly stated that riding as essential travel is allowed. They have also looked into the legislation regarding riding for leisure and mental well-being, which apparently isn't quite as clear-cut. They've concluded that riding for pleasure alone or with a friend is permitted, as long as you're not in a situation where you're required to self-isolate. And they've said in the bulletin that you can ride for recreational purposes on the public road as long as you're on your own, or with one person from another household, or with the people you live with in your household or support bubble. Now, social distancing rules still apply, so bikers congregating in groups is not allowed under the legislation, and obviously will draw unwanted attention, as will any reckless or unsafe riding. We all know what that means. Ride responsibly and keep your speed down. And if you can't do either of those things, leave your bike at home. Don't drag the rest of us down with you. Now, obviously, this isn't an open-ended document. Keep your eyes open for new bulletins, because, as we all know, things can change at the flip of a coin. Right, so now that's that out of the way, let's talk about my Triumph Bonneville T120. Now, as you'll probably know if you follow this channel, I've fallen out of love a bit with the T120, in fact with Triumph in general. In a previous video I mentioned that Triumph had been in touch with me and had extended the offer of taking the bike into the factory and correcting some faults which have actually been there on the bike since I bought it back in 2016. And also to check the bike out to see whether it does have this inherent gearbox problem. Now, as you know, I was reluctant to take them up on this offer because I didn't feel comfortable doing it if they're not extending this offer to other people. But spurred on by encouragement from you, the viewers, in the comments section, I decided to go ahead with it, and on the 20th, which is this Friday, Triumph should be picking the bike up. I'm not entirely sure how long they're going to have it for. Now, I have to admit the prospect of getting one or two faults sorted out on the bike have sort of rekindled my liking for this bike. I wouldn't say I'm back in love with it again, not yet. And on the back of that, next year I'm in talks with MOTONE Customs about a complete strip down and rebuild in custom form. Now, we have only had one brief conversation on it. I'm not entirely sure whether it's actually going to happen yet. and so I certainly don't know at this stage what form that customization is going to take. We'll see what happens. Now, in one of last week's videos, people were asking questions about certain parts that I had fitted to the bike because they hadn't seen them before. And as I've said in the past, MOTONE Customs do on occasion send me sort of late stage prototypes to sort of get my opinion on the parts and test them for fitting to make sure that, you know, the average man on the street isn't going to have any problems with them when they go on sale. A service which, I might add, I'm more than happy to perform. Earlier on in the year, MOTONE Customs announced their Saturn V silencers. The first iteration of which was intended for the Street Twin and the Bobber, and of course I published a review video of the Bobber version again earlier this year. From what I can gather, despite this being MOTONE's first foray into motorcycle exhaust systems, those first two models have been a tremendous success, which has created something of a waiting list because as it stands at the moment, demand is outstripping production. This is a very late stage prototype. In fact, I had no problems fitting it at all. There's just one or two small tweaks that need to be made before it can go into production, and as yet they've got to decide what finishes are going to be available. Obviously the T120 doesn't have brushed pipes, so these brush pipes look a little bit out of place on this bike. I believe they're going to be looking at polished stainless steel, with maybe a brass tipped option in the dim and distant future, as well as this tanned alloy version. Now, I know that the development of these silencers has been ongoing for at least a couple of years. I wasn't too keen on them at first, but I can see now why they've been successful. They are just 100% 1960s sort of space kitsch, which just looks absolutely right on every bike you put it on. Or it does to me anyway. I'm not entirely sure when these are going to be available. I'm presuming early next year, and they will be followed shortly after by a version for the new Speed Twin. And I will of course keep you posted as those items become available. But as I've said, the Street Twin and the Bobber versions are already available on MOTONE's website. Now, I know that I'm going to get complaints if I don't let you have a listen to what they sound like, so I'm going to indulge you, and then we'll move on to the next prototype. Now, MOTONE have an early Christmas present for all my viewers, and I'll cover that off at the end before I go. But first, the crate skinny seat for the air-cooled Bonnevilles has been MOTONE Customs' biggest selling seat. A pared-back minimalist seat for the custom scene. Again, it's been one of those products that has a waiting list. This is, again, a late-stage prototype designed for the liquid-cooled models. Now, on the whole, I think MOTONE are fairly pleased with this seat, but they have stated they're going to alter the length by lopping probably about 2 inches off the back, because as it stands at the moment for this style of seat, it is a little bit too long. And they are also going to shave a little bit off the front so that it's not contacting the tank. As with all MOTONE custom seats, these do of course feature their own injection moulded seat pans, none of your handmade glass fibre rubbish. And these seat pans are the same quality as Triumph's own OEM seat pans. I'm sure there will be, in the fullness of time, a version for most of the current liquid cooled Bonneville models, and I will of course keep you updated as they are released. Now, there are 2 more products which have passed the stage of prototype and are now in production and will be available by the end of this week, and I'm going to cover those in Friday's video. But before I go, that early Christmas present from MOTONE Customs. As you may or may not be aware, MOTONE Customs have been offering discounts to viewers of this channel for the best part of this year. And a couple of weeks ago they increased that discount to help people out during the lockdown. As it stands, Christmas is looking like a pretty bleak prospect for a lot of people all over the world. None of us really know what's going to be happening, what lockdown rules are going to be in place at the time. Traditionally, it is a time that we spend time with family, and we don't even know how that's going to work as yet. And then on top of that, a lot of people, their income's been hit badly. So Sam got in touch with me over the weekend and told me that he's going to start the Black Friday sale early. In fact, it's already started today, this morning. And it's going to go on throughout the week, over the weekend, and it's going to finish at midnight on Monday. And for that Black Friday sale, he's increased the discount to 22%. Now, this is exclusive to viewers of this channel. So please, by all means, share links to this video on your Facebook pages or whatever you want to do. But please don't share the discount code in the same manner. The discount code is Blackout2020. I'll leave it in the video description along with a link to Motone's website, and that 20% discount is applicable to any products on Motone's site. Now, one final thing before I go, people have been expressing their displeasure at me having a BMW keyring on the Bullet. It's actually a keyring that just has some sentimental value. It's a keyring from a bike that I had almost 20 years ago. But the complaints keep coming thick and fast, so I'd like to announce today that I now have changed it, and so you can all stop moaning about it now. Once again, thank you so much for watching this and my other videos, and in doing so helping to support this channel. I really do appreciate it. I do sincerely hope that you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you have, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you do subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell and enable notifications in your settings. I am of course going to be back on Friday, so until then, if you are riding, please ride carefully, and I'll see you soon.